Pretty nice start. Lets you able to farm enemies pretty easily, and immediately we're gonna see that bomb drop on prdwong's side. So we don't even need to worry about farming. Essentially, we're just gonna be rushing straight to the end to get to that back escape. And I believe Melestara should be getting his bomb right. Oh no, okay. He'll probably be getting it shortly now that we know that the green guard does drop both 1 bomb and 8 bomb drops. So definitely bombing for bombs is not going to be an issue, at least for this part of the race. Hammer will let them get through pretty fast, especially on that ball and chain guard, which only takes 2 hits from the hammer. So opening up with a very early book in Escape, we did see the net and after Uncle, but unfortunately that doesn't really lead to anything. But the book does lead to a possible early Desert Palace, especially if we do find a fire source or even boots. Maybe in like Kakariko or in the escape sequence. prdwong making quick work of these guards of the hammer. Super strong weapon for early game, as it does do tempered sword damage, and obviously at this point you're not supposed to have anything resembling the tempered sword according to the vanilla game, so makes this escape sequence very fast. And really with that bomb drop already, we're just looking for straight execution and trying to get to Sanctuary as quick as possible. Wow, a lot of interesting items that we're seeing early on. The mushroom too in Zelda's cell. Not necessarily an item you want to see by itself early on, as it could lead to progression, and generally you want to be able to mix that in with maybe a Zora check or even a mirror from the Dark World when you're going up to Catfish. But just going up there all by itself to turn that in, not the greatest of routing, unfortunately. Alright, so prdwong about to finish his first part of Escape, and be heading into the sewer shortly. Hopefully gonna pick up a heart piece. He is at half health already. Those ropes and rats, do a bit of damage to you, so I would be looking for a little bit of safety if I was in his shoes. There it is, getting that very convenient heart piece right there. Or sorry, heart pickup. And almost gets straight through the rope hallway without taking any damage. Had a really good setup, but unfortunately one of them decided to just move down at the last second. There was an item there, but unfortunately I did not see it, so we're not going to be able to see what... Oh, it looks like we got the boots early on. Okay, well, talking about that Desert Palace possible play, we already have one item to roll out needing to get the big key, if the seed did turn out that way. So all we're looking right now for is either a fire rod or a lamp, and Desert Palace is on the table right from the get-go. Also makes it nice not having to use bombs to get into the back escape, which unfortunately did not have any items, but did have the map, meaning that we do have another item that is going to be next at the end. Now, sorry, I'm going to completely go back and grab that 8 drop, even if you don't need bombs right now. Definitely helps for getting through those early game checks, mini Moldworm Cave, and then the 3 bombs that you need for Kakariko as well. And then prdwong gonna finish up his escape sequence and pick up the flippers. So pretty good escape sequence in my opinion. We got the boots, the flippers, a hammer, hook, net, and the mushroom. Got a lot of options available for our runners. Like I said, we do almost have full access to Desert Palace, and if we see that power glove show up shortly, then definitely combined with the flippers and the mushroom makes it very easy to turn in that mushroom and also be able to check the entirety of Zora's domain. Alright, prdwong gonna go ahead and do his lumberjack cave check. Definitely something you want to be able to do in the tournament to determine whether or not you need to route in Aghanim, which it looks like it may possibly be an Aghanim seed. We do have Quake that is on the lumberjack ledge, which we don't know is required just yet. It's going to be dependent on whether or not the required dungeons, Turtle Rock and Mire, do require Quake to enter. Nice 50 rupee pickup on prdwong in the Lost Woods. Good to get that early game money, especially for Kakariko. And if you're going to be making that Zora play, I would be picking up any money I can. Alright, we do get that map check. Looks like we had all crystals in the Dark World with that 5 crystal on Desert Palace. So always, seeing that many crystals in the light world could be a little bit disheartening, especially because that means there has to be 3 pendants in the Dark World. And those pendants could be on a little bit of a longer dungeons, Turtle Rock, Misery Mire, Ice Palace, and those dungeons could require items in order to complete the seed. It's not so bad seeing those on light world dungeons, given how quickly they can be cleared. Definitely Dark World dungeons, take a little bit more of a commitment in order to go through. Both runners doing their Kakariko checks. Nothing in Blind's Hut, but to be expected given that we've already gotten so many items so far. I don't think we'll see too much in the way of progression in Kakariko, maybe like 1 or 2 items at most. Bottle being picked up in the well, definitely a great place to find it before you head down further into Kakariko, so you can just go ahead and check that sick kid. And we get a cape as well. Not terribly important just yet, but once we get to the Dark World, that will be a good place to check for an item over at that bumper cave. Alright, so just a few locations left in Kakariko, and then I think we'll begin to see a bit of different routing. Definitely, we can get into a lot of Desert Palace right now. We can't clear it until we get either a Fire Rod or a Power Glove. but we can at least get to the first few items, which are all in logic as of now. So we might see maybe like a mini Moldorm to down to a desert check as opposed to doing the reverse over to Ice Rock Cave, depending on how these runners feel, about that book showing up early on. Oh, and there we go. There's that first piece of the puzzle. Fire Rod. Definitely a much nicer pickup than the lamp because you don't want to have to do hammer strats for landmolls if you can. Also leaving a nice little bomb for the sick kid. And there's the power glove too. So there is our Desert Palace access. And it being that 5 crystal, definitely we're going to see our runners head over there pretty shortly. Fortunately, that is not a piece of trash. That is a very important part of the randomizer puzzle, and prdwong's going to be more than happy to pick that up, with Melestara following behind very shortly. One thing we gotta note is both runners don't have a lot of magic right now, and I don't believe there are any full magic fill-ups in Desert Palace, just small magic pickups. So we'll want to be looking for some sort of magic refill if they head over to Desert Palace soon enough, so that way they can use those fire rod strats on Lenmolas. Right now, it's not looking like I see people speaking about it in chat. It doesn't look like it's going to be an Aghanim required seed, at least for Dark World access, given that we're only the Moon Pearl away from getting into the Dark World. But still, begs to be seen whether or not that Quake will be important later on. I expect that both runners will probably, when given the chance, will be heading over to either Maya or Turtle Rock as soon as possible to see, if either of them does require that Quake. And speaking about that magic, there is that magic right there, and unfortunately, prdwong's not going to be able to grab it in time due to the bomb strat used on the mini Moldorm. And speaking of which, there's our Moon Pearl, and there's a sword as well. So Sphere 1 of Randomizer being pretty generous this time around. Alright, prdwong gonna take advantage of those flippers and be heading over into these multiple checks with that glove available. I guess the Zora was already available with the flippers, but now it doesn't have a lot of money. You need 500 for the Zora turn-in, but you can check every other item. And here's that divergence. Melestara gonna head straight over to Desert Palace now. Take advantage of all those items he just picked up to be able to clear out that crystal. Always a good rule of thumb for logic is if you have the items required to beat a dungeon, and if it's a crystal dungeon, definitely if it's early game, it's a great idea to do so. However, prdwong may be just looking for a little bit more firepower or something to help clear that dungeon a little bit faster. Maybe, half magic or even bow and silvers to kill levels a lot faster before heading over there, since this is a place that you will generally almost always go to. Gotta be careful, those crabs are pretty deadly. One hit at this point, it does mean a death for prdwong. Melestara doing a strat that I generally don't see very often. That bonk over the sand crab there. I'm not sure what the official name of that enemy is, but pretty cool use of the boots there to avoid needing to kill him. And there's that boots locked big key, as we expected with the early boots. So Melestara probably gonna check this item right here, grab the small key, and then head over to Lamels to see if there is an item on there. prdwong heading into this his next part of Flipper checks, the pyramid. Sorry, not the pyramid, the waterfall cave. Unfortunately, nothing there. These flippers aren't leading to anything as of yet. So that could mean, should Ice Palace, or okay, well, there's what our flippers do lead to, the Key of Samaria on the Zora ledge. Definitely a very important item for later on in the seed. Great time to go ahead and pick that up. Fortunately, we're not going to see what's on Zora just yet, as we don't have 500 rupees. But picking up that King of Samaria this early is a really great find. Meanwhile, Melestara heading through the rest of Desert Palace. I didn't see that he picked up anything of importance from the right side. We'll see whether or not Lamels does hold something for us, or if all the items given to us were simply just for progression. prdwong also following close behind, heading over to Desert Palace now. Just wanted to get that Zora area check off first before heading to this dungeon. That is true. We definitely, with that Key of Samaria early on, that does open up the fake powder glitch. I don't know whether or not our runners are familiar with it, but that is a very important glitch, as I actually just did a race a couple of days ago, which fake powder completely determined the winner in the seed 20-30 minutes in. So if there is something on the magic bat that you won't be able to get until you find the powder, that could be pretty important. Melestara about to head into his Lamels fight. Fortunately, he doesn't have a lot of magic to use Fire Rod strats on Lamels, maybe about 2 hits or so. But he's actually pulling out the bombs. Are we going to see a bomb Lamels? This is not something you see very often, but it's 100% doable. At least for the first 2 hits he is, but then he busts out the hammer for the rest of it. Kind of gotta be a little bit careful, because they still do hurt pretty hard, hit pretty hard. You don't have a lot of health early on if you're going into a Desert Palace at this point. Just have 1 left, and that will do it for Melestara getting the first crystal. I think it was a 5 crystal, actually, of our race within 20 minutes, and being rewarded with that King of Burna as well. That will make things a little bit easier. Should we see maybe a low percent blind fight later on. While prdwong gonna head into the second part of Desert Palace as well to go to his Lamels fight. While Melestara does check out what Agana is hiding in his cave. Will it be important, or are we going to be seeing maybe a trip over to Eastern Palace next? Just 50 rupees, unfortunately, which is you know, we still have Zora on the table, which could be important. Definitely picking up all the rupees you can is a great play. I believe Melestara probably going to head over to the Ice Rod Cave since he did skip that earlier. Don't want to generally skip Ice Rod Cave. It does like to hold a lot of items early on. We already know right now it is the 3 bombs. Oh, but no, here we go. He's actually going to be farming for the Zora. So this cave does hold 50 rupees, I believe, each time you enter, and is easily farmable by exiting and entering every time. So we're going to be looking at that Zora play very soon from Melestara and determine whether or not prdwong will have to do the same thing to get, you know, more progression from Zora. We do already have that Dark World access, but it's always a good idea to just be able to check, you know, all the locations in the Light World early on, because you don't want to leave them behind only to find out that there is something very important being hidden by one of them. prdwong just about finished with his Lambos fight, opting to do Spider Sword spin strats. And it should be probably a 1 or 2 more left. Oh, sorry, getting a bit of a lecture from the thief for stealing his rupees and breaking his door. But he's not going to do anything about it, as Melestara is going to run straight away over to Ice Rock Cave, and I imagine Zora's domain right after. Meanwhile, prdwong does pick up his 5 crystal as well. So both runners opting to do that early Desert Palace. Definitely a great play to just knock it out of the way. And then, given that prdwong has already done Zora's domain, this is when we'll see him do a little bit something different after checking Agina. I'll probably head over to the Dark World, so it's really dependent on, you know, where is he going to go and what route he decides to take through the Dark World. So that Link's house entrance probably means we're going to see that early hype cave within a minute or so. Definitely a great route to take, in my opinion. One that I always personally do. Gives you an abundance of items right off the bat, as opposed to just jumping right into Thieves Town. And oh, come on, give us that app check so we can see if Turok and Mire is required. Oh, we're not going to see it just yet, unfortunately. Technically, Aghanim cannot be done just yet. We still need the lamp for that to be in logic. But let's start this hype cave. We got a piece of heart. We got more rupees. We have the magic mirror, the superior boomerang, and a big 20. So the mirror, that is a great place to find it, actually. Especially, you know, if you're going to be doing this whole South Dark World route, from Hype Cave all the way up to Village of Outcasts, you need either the mirror or the mitts to be able to continue into Village of Outcasts without doing a saving quit. So finding the mirror there is one of the best possible locations to make this routing a lot simpler. Stumpy just heading up, giving us a piece of heart. Melestara going to be heading over to Zora as well, picking up his Hina Samaria, and then we also get to see what Zora is hiding from us for that hefty price of 500 rupees. Fortunately, we got to see what was in that South Grove just before, just as the stream came back up, just that heart container, but we do have plenty of items in the Dark World currently available for us. Okay, there's that dark world chat. We got Pendant Pod. We have another red pendant on Misery Mire. I didn't see where the blue pendant was, and then our 6th crystal is on Turtle Rock, so definitely that quake can be something that is needed. That does remain to be seen until we get the flutes or the mitts to get to either of those dungeons. Pretty Wong actually saving and quitting after finding that bottle there, opting to not do the mirror from the south of Village of Outcasts to go in from there. And then we have, looks like just some bombs from our Zora friend. 500 rupees, not a great deal in my opinion. And then Melestara also getting that little of a texture glitch with the bomb showing up on the ledge because he did leave it behind. Pretty Wong looks like gonna be doing that Dark Room Death Mountain. This is a sequence break because we don't have the lamp or the flute just yet to be up here. But he could be thinking exactly what I was talking about. You know, I need to find out whether or not Turtle Rock is a required, or is that Quake medallion to figure out if I need to be routing in Aghanim at some point. And we did not actually see this such fetch quest turn in from Pretty Wong, but looks like the mushroom just leading to 20 rupees, unfortunately. Melestara also going to be heading up over into the Dark World, this time from Village of Outcasts, so he will not be finding his mirror just yet, unfortunately. But we do get to see, you know, what's the entirety of Village of Outcasts, and especially that Crystal Thieves Town, which is within logic right now to be clear. I would expect Melestara to probably go ahead and head in there pretty early on. And our favorite item in Randomizer, the single arrow sitting on the ether tablet. You know, personally, I'd be looking to go back for that just to you know, increase my arrow count a little bit, but I don't think either of our runners are going to bother with that though. Pretty Wong heading into Tower Hera, making good use of that mirror that he found early on to be able to get into here, you know, despite not having the hook shot, which, you know, technically could be an item required to get into Hera as well. Gonna head into his tile room, see if he opts to do that. Nice little coffee break. No, it looks like he'll actually just be avoiding. Oh wait, no, we can see it. Oh, there he goes. Gets a nice little break from the tiles by using that glitch where he gets on top of the switch. I don't actually know what those things are called. Melestara heading into Skull Woods does take an unfortunate hit from that Gibdo. Pretty risky place to be in, especially with only 6 hearts and the green tunic, as a lot of stuff is going to kill you pretty fast. I understand the routing decision. You know, you have the fire rod, and Mothula is killable, but it is really scary to be able to do this with only so much health. But definitely going into Skullwoods early on was the right decision, as he does find that flute, which will make everything that Pretty Wong is doing right now accessible. We have not actually seen the rest of the Village of Outcast chat yet. So Melestara looks like she's gonna be he's gonna be heading deeper in. Gonna be looking for that Mothula kill, especially if you have full magic right now with that fire rod, and the hammer too does make it pretty easy. and a hookshot too, so buckle in, boys and girls. Value Woods from V26 is back, holding both the hookshot and the flute as those 2 dungeon items. Melestara just gonna be like, I'm out of here. I have a great amount of items right now. I'll put this off till later, and great decision to make too. You know, if you're at low HP and you know that Mothula does not have any items, then, you know, put that off later till when we have, you know, a lot more HP, tempered sword, things like that, instead of just making that risk. Bumper ledge, just holding that 20 rupees for us as prdwong does get his Moldorm kill. And looks like the total takeaway from Hera will be Crystal and 305 rupees, as no signs of progression here. So a little bit difficult to tell who is ahead at this point. Both our runners taking a bit of divergent routes. prdwong sequence breaking up to Death Mountain, while Melestara picks up a ton of progression on this side of the Dark World. Gets the bow in the Sea House, giving her 3 additional items, or him 3 additional items over prdwong. However, prdwong does have the mirror, which Melestara has not found yet, as it is in the Hype Cave. But given the route that Melestara has taken so far, I would expect him to probably head south from here over to Hype Cave before opting to go, you know, into any dungeons. And as I say that, I get immediately proven wrong, as we are going to be going into Thieves Town. Whether or not that means we're going to clear it fully, that has yet to be determined. Nice blue tunic pickup from prdwong over in Spiral Cave. That will make that early game low HP a little bit more easier to deal with. That's true. We are very close to go mode already. 32 minutes in, we are looking for the Ice Rod to be able to kill Trinax. And then we don't know what medallions are required for Turtle Rock as of yet, and we're gonna find that out very soon, as prdwong does find those Titan's mitts and the silvers in the Paradox. So very, very nice seed for our runners. Being given, usually V29 likes to front load you with some items, but not literally every single item needed to complete the game. Alright, so remember, Quake is on the Lumberjack ledge, and if that is what is required to enter Turtle Rock, then we're gonna have to look for the lamp and kill Aghanim at some point. Meanwhile, Massa are heading into the back of Thieves Town. Gonna be opening up that ceiling that we need to, you know, bring some light into this very dark dungeon. Also gets to pick up a couple extra chests here. Also important to note that we do need the Master Sword as well in order to complete this seed. Oh, we do get 1 medallion. The Pompos medallion is in Thieves Town, so we know where 2 of the 3 medallions are. We're gonna find out right now what is needed for Turtle Rock, and it's gonna be Quake. So congrats, ladies and gentlemen, we do have our Aghanim seed. Unfortunately, we do not have the lamp yet, so we cannot technically go in there and complete it. I'll start to get pretty close by Thieves Town, only 1 heart left. And prdwong didn't have Hookshot, so not able to finish the entirety of Hookshot Cave just yet. So the sequence break, kind of questionable whether or not that is going to pay off in the long run, as Melestara will be able to pretty much pick up everything And Melestara getting a nice little fairy drop right there from the slime. That will make, the remainder of this dungeon extremely simple. Because all you have to do is get to blind with that cannon burner and just use that the entire time in order to finish that fight. Meanwhile, Pretty Wong heading to Spike Cave, a pretty early check, and picks up a heart container for his troubles. Melestara getting that blue tunic on his end from the big chest in Thieves Town. Definitely a great place to find it. Makes the rest of this dungeon a little bit more bearable and a lot less stressful. Pretty Wong looks to be doing the same thing as Melestara. Going to be heading into Village of Outcasts, I imagine, as Melestara enters his blind fight. Opting to do sword strats for now, might as well. Does have the cape out. I mean, if you have full magic and you're going to be getting that full magic refill, might as well use that instead of a little bit more laggy like Kina Burna. Pretty long, actually. Okay, there we go. Picking up that magic pot refill. It's not one that people know about, but it's definitely useful having that full magic, especially going into Thieves Town, or sorry, Skullwoods. Melestara picks up his second crystal at Thieves Town. Gonna be starting to do his Dark World checks from the south side. Gonna pick up his mirror as well. And then I imagine probably gonna head up to Hera as at the same time, this time doing it within logic. And Pretty Wong gonna do the same route as Melestara, I believe. Gonna head into Skull Woods and might actually go ahead and clear Skull Woods. Having that blue mail already makes it a little bit easier to deal with. See what happens after he picks up his flute as well. Whether or not he decides to go further, but I could definitely see that being a good choice for Purdy at this time. So that red bottle that Melestara picked up may have actually been a little bit more of a determining factor whether or not he would have stayed in Skull Woods. So I imagine with Purdy already having that, we'll probably see, yep, there's that Mothula approach right now. 100% a good idea to do that despite only having the fighter sword. We'll start heading over to Hype Cave and gonna pick up his mirror. And with the bow already picked up, we'll probably go ahead and see him head over to Pod in Eastern Palace. Whether or not he enters Pod is questionable, given that it is a pendant dungeon. But it would be a nice time to see him go ahead and clear out those Armos Knights if you have all of the materials to do so. Granted, it isn't within logic just yet. You still need to find the lamp to do that dark room. But if you have the fire rod, it makes the second dark room very simple to get through. So we're gonna head back over to the south of Grove Cave with that new mirror. As Pretty Wong does do his Mothula fight. Can't see it just yet. But okay, there we go. Pulls out that red potion just to make sure that he isn't gonna die here. Especially with not having any magic, you don't want to have to do this fight again. There's that Mothula kill. It's a nice little compass for his trouble, so he'll know exactly where all the keys are going to be in Skull Woods as he leaves it forever. I'll start heading back over to that east side of the Dark World. So I imagine we'll see that Armos night kill early on. Fortunately, doing those 2 dark rooms in the Eastern Palace are pretty simple, especially if you have the fire rod for the second one. So if you can put that, you can go ahead and take that out right now instead of waiting for the lamp later. Might as well do it when it's most convenient. Oh, and I believe we're going to get a pedestal check from prdwong. We already know the Aghanim's required, so is this going to force him to also complete all the dungeons? What could be on the pedestal? And looks like we're going to be skipping the ped dream today, as it is just that couch cache. So for those of you that are subbed to Speed Gaming, time to throw out those ped is dead emotes. Pretty gonna pick up his hook shot right here. And then I imagine probably head south into Thieves Town as well. Melestara skipping actually Sahashala does. You can go ahead and mirror in that maze to get those 3 items and then head over to pod afterwards. But maybe just be opting to do that later on after his pod and Eastern check. And here we go. We're entering Palace of Darkness. This is actually a really interesting play from him, as it is a crystal dungeon and there's plenty of progression and places out already accessible, especially in the Hera area. So if there is something here, this could be, pretty big, but it looks like Melestara just opting to actually pick up the first item and that's it. And then we're going to be heading over into Eastern Palace, which is that required crystal dungeon. Here's some checks we haven't seen just yet. prdwong heading over to the graveyard area. Gonna get that graveyard ledge and the King's Tomb due to having that mirror, which Melestara did not have at the time. Really early big key from Melestara, which is convenient. And looks like just that red boomerang gonna show up on prdwong's side. I could actually see prdwong route in both the mushroom and that catfish check, with this route that he's taking, which is a really nice route to take through the Dark World. Ensures that you get all these one-off locations, and we find our 3rd medallion, Ether Medallion, in King's Tomb, which technically is not required for clearing Turtle Rock, but if there is, you say the Ice Rod in Misery Mire, and Mire requires that Ether, it's gonna be a while before Melestara finds it. Now prdwong gonna head into his Village of Outcast checks, gonna pick up his bow from the sea house right here. And then heading into Thieves Town very shortly, as Melestara gonna pick up those last few items from Eastern Palace. We do already have 2 items, I believe, with that big key. So instead of making that gamble all the way to that first dark room, we're gonna head straight over to the Armos Knights, opting to do the room completely in the dark instead of using that fire rod that he has. So a little difficult to do this, especially if you don't get it right away, because this room is just very hard to deal with these Igors if they're not in the position that you want them to be in. But fortunately, he does exit and enter the room again. It gets that small key to progress further. So we are not in go mode just yet. We are still looking for Ice Rod. We're looking for another sword upgrade. And we're looking for the lamp to pick up the Quake, which is required after killing, or which is unlocked after killing Aghanim. So as far as Y items go, we're almost there, but a lot of people do forget that you do need that Master Sword technically, because that is required by the logic in order to kill Ganon. So prdwong's actually using the Wizrobe sprite. Vivi sprite from Final Fantasy IX is a lot skinnier than this one, and a lot more recognizable. So we're gonna head into his Armos Knights, which is, yeah, breaking the logic at this point because he doesn't have the lamp to get through that one room. But it is a good call to make. Go ahead and clear that out while you're here, as it's a very easy dark room to deal with. Oh, and picking up that compass there means that there is another item in Eastern Palace at the Vanilla Big Key location. So whether or not Melestara does head back in, that will be his call to make. It's like he's going to skip that. He has not checked Sahashala just yet, so we do have 3 items there. He's going to head back into Palace of Darkness. So I'm actually intrigued by these routing decisions that Melestara has done so far in this area. This is a pendant dungeon, and we're only a couple items from go mode at this point. So if there is something in Pendant Pod with how early it was unlocked, this could pay off pretty big for Melestara. Meanwhile, prdwong heading into his blind fight. It's gonna be pretty simple for him. He's got the Cane of Burna. He's got a sword. He has plenty of health and the red tunic. Very clean fight from prdwong on blind. Gonna get that kill right there. Pick up his map and his 4th crystal. So right now, looking at what is currently open, I don't think Melestara has unlocked his flute yet, so he can't get up to Death Mountain until he does that, but he is within logic to do that. I don't think prdwong has unlocked the flute either. We'll see if he does that before he leaves the Village of Outcasts, but we're looking at what items or what's currently available for both our runners. So Eastern Palace, a bit of a logic break, but a very easy one to do. We do have Ice Palace, which is fully clearable with both Bombos and Fire Rod. And the myths being on Death Mountain, which is accessible with the flute, means that it is within logic currently. So a lot of places we can go, and here we are. We're gonna get that Swag Duck Anthem. Enjoy, everybody. We're not gonna put that flute to use just yet, but rather we're gonna get these checks that Melestara was not able to do due to not having the Titans. It's like prdwong, forgetting that he already actually cleared the dig game, but most likely relying on muscle memory, as you generally do go there before picking up the blacksmith. Unfortunately, he does remember it before going too far, so he does pick up that blacksmith. Gonna turn him in, get those hammer pegs out of the way as well. And remember, we're looking for lamp, ice rod, and fire rod. Or sorry, master sword. As far as getting closer to go mode. Let's see what item was inside there. Looks like just that 5 arrow upgrade, so not terribly important. But this is a little bit frightening with, you know, these 3 items being available and how much of the world is open up. We do have a pendant swamp palace in that pond, which I don't believe has yielded anything just yet for Melestara. So trying to find, you know, one of those 3 items, which you know, all these areas can be open, be a little bit scary. And we're going to see that fake powder glitch from prdwong. Good time to use it. Let's go ahead and throw that in chat for those of you who don't know what this is. It allows you to bypass finding the powder in order to do the magic bat by using both the mushroom as well as another magic item, primarily the cane of Samaria. But not going to be anything on there, unfortunately. Melestara going to leave Palace of Darkness. You know, having a little bit trouble with that dark room. That could be a little bit tricky to navigate, as it is essentially a maze. And we're going to see that save and quit. It's really efficient routing from Purdy's side. Having the flute there and being able to turn in the purple chests at the same time is really nice. We're not going to be able to see that Bombos tablet checked, unfortunately. But he can at least roll out, you know, some of these more odd locations. And I'll have to think about that later on. Alright, so Melestara gonna activate his flute, and I imagine probably gonna head up to Death Mountain as well. This time within logic, but prdwong definitely trying to push his advantage as much as he can by heading into the Eastern Palace with that bow. Also most likely gonna do that sequence break without the lamp to get his 5th crystal. I imagine we'll probably see prdwong head to the vanilla big key chest instead of taking that gamble on whether or not Armos has that final item. You never want to have to dive back into Eastern Palace solely for that one chest. It's such a long trek back, so a lot of people will often just avoid that gamble altogether and just full clear it to be safe. Meanwhile, Melestara are going to head into Death Mountain. It does have that hook shot, which prdwong did not have. So we'll be seeing that Paradox Cave clear pretty early. Gonna pick up his mitts and also get his knowledge eventually when he heads over to Turok that Aghanim is required in order to clear the seed. So I imagine once both runners finish their respective dungeons, most likely see that Ice Palace entry, and then from there, that's when this season's gonna get kind of interesting. We have essentially almost all the dungeons available, depending on what Mire is, if it's not Quake in either Bombos or Ether. And those pendant dungeons could be hiding either the Ice Rod or the lamp. Well, most of Mire can be hiding the lamp at least. So we're going to see probably a little bit of different routing once we get to that point, but for now we do have these available crystals that are clearable. So we'll take the safer path and just clear those out, hoping to find our go mode items. Pretty actually opting to also skip that vanilla big key location as well. I'm gonna head straight into Armos Knights. Maybe thinking, hey, I do need the lamp technically to get back here. It is a sweet break, so maybe there's a lot less chance of what I need being on that chest. Pretty entering his Armos Knight. It's gonna be a very fast kill. Don't blink and you'll miss it, because those silver arrows make very short work of this boss, as you can see there. A very fast kill. Prdwong will pick up his 5th crystal as Melestara enters the Tower of Hera for his 4th crystal. So kind of a hard call to determine who is actually ahead. Obviously, Purdy does have more crystals than Melestara does, but it could be really anyone's game depending on their routing coming up. Here we get that Joshua check that we did not see from Melestara's side. And it looks like nothing of importance to go ahead and clear this seed, which is going to be nice for Melestara. And we're going to see that nice little magic cape glitch on the right there. By activating the magic cape and holding onto the wall, I believe, allows you to stay in that invisible status without actually draining any magic, making this room very simple if you do miss, that switch and your coffee break. Purdy picking up multiple potions, as I expect he'll probably head into Ice Palace. Right now, want to have as many safeties as you can, especially if you're going to be looking for Fire Rod strats on Cold Stare. Alright, Purdy heading into his 6th dungeon. We could get very lucky and have all 3 items in Ice Palace be the exact 3 items that we need, but most likely not going to see that happen. I could see us picking up possibly 1 item. The best option for Ice Palace would be to have that either the lamp or the ice rod, most likely the lamp, so that way we can get that access to Death Mountain, or I'm sorry, to Turtle Rock, by killing Aghanim, and then finding both the sword and an ice rod in Turtle Rock as well. Whether or not Purdy opts to do that Ice Palace bomb jump isn't necessarily needed at this point, having both the cane and if you're going to be full clearing the dungeon, so you can just run generally right past it, but we'll see whether or not he decides to do it. Looks like he keeps that switch down, definitely the smarter option, as you want to be able to, when you get to that room that you fall down, you can just go pass right through it instead of having to go downstairs and come back up. Melestara heading into his Moldorm fight, having a little bit of trouble just even getting the opportunity to jump down. You don't want to jump down right into Moldorm if he's right there, or he'll just knock you right off the ledge. He's not really being too kind with this movement here, giving Melestara that opening for the hammer, but Melestara does show off that quick hammer kill. Gonna pick up his 4th crystal. Alright, our first item of Ice Palace, just gonna be that 10 capacity upgrade for arrows. But we do have quite a dense location that he's entering, so we have 2 more chests that could contain one of our required items. Also, Melestara, when heading over to the Dark World Death Mountain right now, gonna have the opportunity to go into a Hookshot Cave and check all those chests that Purdy missed. So there'll be quite some time before Purdy heads up there, I believe. So if there is that lamp that is in the Hookshot Cave, which is definitely possible with the flute needed to get up here, and that could put Melestara in a really good position. The 2 items already found by Purdy in Ice Palace, looking for that final item. We get that. It's like we don't get the big key just yet. The big key is in that iced tea room. We're gonna need to even get down the cold stair. Fortunately, we can go ahead and grab it from this room and then backtrack to the big chest, so that way no time lost there. There's a pretty exciting moment. Melestara about to enter into the Hookshot Cave after checking Turtle Rock, most likely. See that Aghanim is required. We get to see what 4 items are hiding there. And I believe maybe Purdy did pick up all 3 items already from Ice Palace, as he does head straight down the cold stair. Alright, what is going to be in the remainder of Hookshot Cave? A big 20, a piece of heart, and come on, give us something on this last chest. Just a green rupee. So this is kind of a scary situation now for both our runners, as we have Pendant Swamp and Pendant Mire on the table, and we are 3 items away from go mode with no real indication on where these items are going to be at. Purdy entering his cold stair fight does have plenty of blue potions should he need it. Gonna opt to do some hammer strats first. Already takes out one of them. And making pretty quick work of this fight with that red tunic, makes this very safe to do so. Oh, he wants to be a little careful though, because he doesn't want to die here. I'm just going to use that fire rod to finish off the rest of Cold Stare, get that small key for his efforts and his 6th crystal. So now we're kind of, like I said, we're in that rough spot of rando where we have, almost all the crystals finished, but we're still missing quite a few items from go mode, with lots of the overworld's still open, so Purdy's next steps are going to be pretty telling. Figure out, you know, if he does find those go mode items before Melestara. Meanwhile, Melestara still has a few locations to go through, namely Skull Woods and Ice Palace, before he begins to check, some of these other areas. Alright, Purdy is going to go ahead and head into the Mire area. We get to see whether or not Wake is also required for Misery Mire, which would be a really nice thing for our runners to see. Titans were indeed in the Paradox Cave. Purdy has not... We did not see the medallion, I believe. Someone did see it. Feel free to let us know. But I don't think he ran far enough to the right to notice it. So Aghanim is technically on the table, right? It is required to beat the seed, but you do need the lamp in order to finish it. Doing the dark room in the Hyrule Castle Tower, it's definitely a little bit tricky to do. And you want to be able to find that lamp if possible. And this is kind of a nice benefit for our runners because they're still looking for both the Master Sword and Ice Rod, which could be found before they do find the lamp. And it looks like Purdy's actually going to go ahead and opt to head into a Hyrule Castle again. So this will be the first time I've actually seen Aghanim done in the dark. This will be a little bit exciting for me, as I personally do not know how to do it. I did grab an additional potion. Meanwhile, Melestara almost finishing up that Mothra fight, also opting for those hammer strats. Definitely a great option as it does a lot of damage to Mothra. Only requires 4 hammer hits, but it's a little bit difficult to actually get those hits off with the hitbox of the hammer and Mothra just being very kind of weird with movement. And there's our 5th crystal. Excuse me, our 5th crystal from Melestara from Mothula. Here we go. We're just gonna kind of have to assume he's doing well in Aghanim, in the tower to Aghanim. Does remember about those torches in there with the fire rod to make this room a little bit simpler to do. Here's that pet check from Melestara. Just gonna find out some rupees. Not gonna have to bother with that later on. It would be very interesting to see PRD head into Turtle Rock coming out of this, as the Ice Rock can definitely be in Turtle Rock. Doesn't necessarily require killing Aghanim in order to do. There we go. Pretty showing off those torches. So definitely he's put in some practice into doing Aghanim's tower in the dark. Get out of those dark rooms with pretty relative ease, using those silver arrows in place of having a strong sword to clear out these more HP enemies. Meanwhile, Melestara heading into Ice Palace. Not gonna find anything except that final crystal. Or sorry, that 6th crystal. very clean Aghanim Sour from Purdy. Gonna head into his Aghanim fight. Feel free to throw out exactly how many of those blue balls we're gonna see from Aghanim. Hopefully, just with going through this dark room without the lamp, I'm gonna say 2 blue balls just to make this a little bit simpler for Purdy. We got a nice little remix to that Aghanim fight. Personally, a little bit excited to see what else do we get to hear from this fight, from the standard boss fight music. So there's our first blue ball right there. I don't know if we saw another blue ball. But we are getting plenty of damage into Aghanim. Get that access to Lumberjack Cave and Quake, and by extension of that, Turtle Rock. Melestara heading through Ice Palace as well as quickly as he can. Gonna be disappointed to find out there's nothing there. And we'll see whether or not Melestara also opts to go to Aghanim to do that in the dark. It's not a skill that a lot of players have, but if you do, it's going to pay off big, as it shows for Purdy as he gets the Aghanim kill. Gonna mirror out and head over to Lumberjacks. Now he has to make the choice. Do you head into Turtle Rock without finding the ice rod, or do you maybe check a couple locations first to see if you can possibly go mode it and then bank on there being a sword in Ganon Sour, which is always a common sight to see. Unfortunately, with that Aghanim kill and having the mirror, you do have to go into the light world before saving and quitting, or you just get thrown back to the top of that mirror. Here we go. Purdy gonna pick up one of his items needed for go mode. The Quake Medallion to get into Turtle Rock, and at that point, I'm pretty sure that we can kind of bank on him knowing that Turtle Rock Dark Room as well. So we're just looking for another sword for real go mode, which is something you're always going to bank on being in Ganon Sour. So for those of you who aren't too familiar with Link to the Past, the item that Purdy just picked up, the Quake Medallion, it's only accessible after you kill Aghanim, as the 2 Lumberjacks do leave that tree for you to bonk into. So it's not necessarily that killing Aghanim gives you something directly, but rather it gives access to an item that is required to beat the game. So hopefully Purdy does find that ice rod here in Turtle Rock. Definitely, a very high chance compared to a lot of other areas of it showing up. But it's always a little bit risky, as if you don't find ice rod in here, then you're forced to go back into the Dark World and possibly dive into some of those pendant dungeons just to find that one item that you could have possibly found earlier to enter go mode. Alright, so Melestara gonna head down into that cold stair fight as prdwong does enter Turtle Rock and our final crystal dungeon. So, like I said, we're still don't know. prdwong, if Turtle Rock ends up having that ice rod, he's going to be in a really great position to win this race. But if it's not in here, then it's really up in the air. Melestara does have the benefit of already going into Palace of Darkness and pretty much clearing that out, with exception of Helm's Arcane. So I imagine Pretty Wong will probably head in there afterwards, if looking for that fire rod. Melestara getting that one fire rod shot off. That's all the magic he has for Cold Stare. Don't believe he has any potion, unfortunately, like Pretty Wong did. So gonna opt to do those spin slashes. Kind of a scary fight if you don't have that safety. Plus, it's gonna take quite a long time with just those fighter sword spin slashes in order to finish this fight. Oh, we do have a blue potion. Never mind. So hopefully we see those fire rod shots now to make quick work of Cold Stare. There we got one down, we got two down, and we got three down. That is a dead Cold Stare and a sixth crystal for Melestara. So now it's really, what does Melestara do? Does he look for the lamp and the ice rod, or does he go and do that dark tower ascent that Pretty Wong did? We did see that red potion pick up from Pretty Wong in the first chest. Not exactly what he's looking for. And you're gonna pick up that small key here to be able to get further into the dungeon. So here we go. Melestara gonna head over to the mire area as well, doing the same exact thing that Pretty Wong did. But does he enter Misery Mire? And do we get to see what medallion it is? It is Quake as well, so Misery Mire is off the table as far as having the lamp. It could have the ice rod later on. But we know that we don't have to enter Misery Mire in order to kill Aghanim. Pretty Wong taking some hits from those chomps. You know, despite having that red tunic, chain chomps, I guess just HP is different in the Mario games. So they just do a ton of damage regardless of how much armor you have on Internal Rock. So no ice rod found yet for Pretty Wong. He's only found one dungeon item out of 5. And Laser Ridge likes to be that location that Ice Rod shows up in, just kind of keeping runners on their toes until the very end. And it is within logic too, as both the Mirror Shield was an accessible location, and they do have Cape and Kinaberna. We are speculating a bit on the lamp location. Definitely Swamp is a great place to hide the lamp, as you don't need it to complete the dungeon, and we had pretty early access to it with the flippers and mirror showing up as early as they did. Most are going to opt to check some of these quicker locations, maybe going to route in the purple chest with Swamp as well, that we'll see pretty shortly. So we're looking, like I said, we're looking for the Ice Rod to finish Trinex, and then Master Sword, which we can wait until Ganet's Tower to actually find. There's this Mimic Cave check, definitely a nice location to route in with Turok. Well, really the only way to route in with Turok. But gives that additional item, and there it is. The Ice Rod is hiding out in Mimic's Cave, so Pretty Wong. One item from Go mode, but he's able to go ahead and complete all dungeons as of right now. Man, what a great position to be in. He doesn't have to go anywhere else. He's gonna clear out this dungeon, as Melestara is still looking for the lamp in order to get to Aghanim to kill him and get Quake. So Pretty Wong technically is not in go mode just yet. He can clear everything except for Ganon himself until he finds, additional sword upgrade, but there's a very good chance that we do find that sword upgrade in Ganon's tower, so we can't celebrate just yet. We could have all 3 sword upgrades in Swamp Palace. Definitely doable, as we have a hammer for Trinex. I believe the Trinex logic does require at least the Master Sword as well, so very good chance that Swamp Palace does have a sword hiding in there. Let's see, if we're in Pretty Wong's, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and still head into that laser bridge, even after we find the small key to get further in, as we do want to find more swords. There you go, being corrected. We just need hammer for Trinex. That's something I wasn't aware of. We can definitely see Swamp maybe having some upgrades. Alright, so nothing just yet from Laser Bridge. Just some junk, and we have one more chest. Oh, it takes a hit from that laser right as he's about to enter. And nothing of significance. Let's get a nice little health refill from that piece of heart, which will be nice going into the Trinex fight. Especially if we're going to be doing those hammer strats, which could be a little bit risky. Meanwhile, Melestara just finishing off those overworld checks. Probably going to head into Swamp Palace very soon and find what I imagine is going to be the lamp hiding in there. Alright, so here we are. Get those hammer strats from Purdy Wong. Probably going to have to burn a blue potion at some point in order to be able to complete this fight. Depending on how many hammer hits he gets in on Trinex next. Ice kind of giving a little bit of trouble to Purdy. It's a little bit hard to be able to hit the Trinex next with the hammer if you have this ice rod, these ice tiles just kind of screwing up your movement. So he's going to have to burn that final blue potion that he has. I'm going to go ahead and probably get that last hammer hit on Firehead if he would stop moving around, being a little bit finicky. And there we go. We got phase 1 finished for Purdy. Gonna head into phase 2, which is altogether a lot simpler to do. Alright, and that means that is our final crystal. Going to be dropped by Trinex for Purdy Wong. So, with that, we are on Speed Gaming 2. And you all know what that means. And, oh wow, we get a Master Sword on Catfish. Sorry, I got a little bit excited. That Master Sword on Catfish is actually pretty big. But yeah, throw in your guesses. Where is that big key going to be in Ganon's tower? I didn't get a chance to throw out my guess early, so I'm just going to do something kind of late. And remember, we're not technically in go mode yet for Purdy. He's got to find a sword in here somewhere. Or else he's going to have to go somewhere else, go to Catfish to find it. We'll get in those guesses quickly, as we're going to stop very soon, as the walk from Turtle Rock to Ganon's tower is a very short one. I could have sworn that Purdy had done catfish earlier as well. I guess I did not catch that. All right, so with that, we're gonna go ahead and stop this game. Let's see if we get the Franker Z emote from our bot. No, to kind of respect the catfish, we're gonna have Sabaping. Those first two chests are out of the way. Nothing just yet. You get that small key, so I imagine Purdy will be heading over to the right side. Well, Melestara does head over to the Bottomless Tablet, something we did not see either. Which is gonna be just the red rupee. So we still don't know where that lamp is. Like I said, we have a pretty strong indicator that's probably going to be in Swamp Palace, which is why Melestara is doing all this right now. Gonna head into there and grab that. But here we go on chests 3 through 7. We have number 3 on the right side holding that big key. So congrats. Anyone pick number 3. Go ahead and see what that is. Congrats to Frost Toys being the closest person to number 3 that is a sub or a bit donator to Speed Gaming. Congrats. But however, despite having that big key, Purdy's still gonna go ahead and go through the rest of Ganon's tower, because we do need to find that sword for him. Don't know just yet where those other swords are. Melestara is not in go mode currently. It does need technically the lamp in order to complete Aghanim, which Purdy did in the dark. And then Ice Rod is in Mimic Cave, which we know that. However, Purdy is in a really great spot as of now. As, you know, once he does finish the entirety of Ganon's tower, all he has to do is just look for that sword and then head right over to Ganon afterwards. We don't really need to count chests anymore, but rather we're just looking for that sword upgrade. We're gonna see that very rare Ganon's Tower big chests get picked up. Not something you generally ever see. And just the piece of heart. So he's gonna probably head over to the left side. So we're gonna see a full clear of Ganon's Tower, unless we find an early sword. And this could be pretty bad if we don't find any swords in here. You know, if Purdy decides to maybe go to like Palace of Darkness to find a sword, then this gives Melestara plenty of time to catch up, as he'll be in go mode. Once he does find that lamp, that's pretty much be on his way to go mode once he does find that lamp. Ice Rod is in Mimic Cave, so Melestara will definitely find that Ice Rod while going through Turtle Rock. But the Master Sword is currently on Catfish. We don't know where the other two swords are at. So just a few more chests to check, at least on the bottom of Ganon's Tower, before we start to make that ascent up to Aga 2. I will say, Purdy definitely making the right play. It's always kind of expected that you're going to find a sword in Ganon's Tower. So 100% I agree with, you know, his routing right here. We still have not found the lamp, of all things. kind of really rough if you don't know how to do those dark rooms. There's that big key on the left side of Swamp for Melestara. And we still haven't found anything in Swamp Palace. Where are these swords hiding, as well as the lamp? So Purdy finish up his bottom of Ganon's tower and gonna start his ascent and have to find a sword later on if there's no sword in those last four chests. Oh yeah, we did see the tile room skipped as well. Don't know whether or not there's gonna be anything in there, as Melestara will 100% skip that room once he gets up to Ganon's tower. Thankfully, prdwong does have silvers to help him get through the gauntlet, but without half magic or like anything above the fighter swords, it's gonna be a little bit rough. Surprised actually did not pick up the full magic upgrade right there. But he probably does have another potion left, and it doesn't even matter as there's one right there for him. Alright, Swamp Palace, stop hiding stuff for us. There it is. The lamp showing up in the back of Swamp Palace. So Melestara can go ahead and complete everything should he want to right now. But it looks like he's gonna go ahead and yeah, he's gonna mirror out of there. He's gonna head to Aghanim, get that kill, get Quake Medallion, and be on his way. So assuming Melestara takes the gamble that Ice Rod will be in Turtle Rock, which I guess technically it's not in Turtle Rock, but rather part of the Turtle Rock checks in Mimic Cave, then he won't have to check all the stuff that Purdy is going to be checking. Assuming, you know, there's no sword at the top of Ganon's tower, so this is still really anyone's game, depending on what Purdy does after Ganon's tower if there's no sword up top. Correct, so Melestara is technically in no mode, as other commentators like to call it, as we know that he will be finding all the items for go mode, assuming he goes into Turtle Rock. Yeah, it's always, you know, it's going to be a call on what Purdy does next. Does he opt to go into maybe Swamp Palace and Pod, you know, for those huge item dense locations, or does he go maybe to Catfish first? And we still have two other swords that are out there somewhere. So really, we're just looking for any one of those. Oh, this is going to be a little bit rough. He actually does not have enough magic. Okay, yeah, he does have these blue potions. Definitely prdwong making good decisions, picking up those safety potions, even if not for health, but just to have those magic upgrades, those magic refills. Mel knows exactly where Quake is. Both runners did check Lumberjack Cave. Oh, there's a half magic. Not exactly what you want to be looking for. Especially when you only have 4 chests left. So now we have 2 more chests that we need to find a sword in. Purdy's going to be doing some backtracking. Alright, we're on to the most important chest of the game, which is the Moldorm chest. Quite often you do see a sword here. But everyone get your bless RNGs ready. Is it gonna be that final sword? That sword in here? And no! prdwong picking up a blue rupee in the Moldorm chest. Rest in peace. So, we are in a very interesting rando situation that we never generally see. Ganon's tower completed with only the fighter sword, and having to go look for a sword in order to complete the game. So, Melestara could possibly be in a good position depending on how fast. And we look at this. We get the dual Aghanim fights. This is something we never see. Aghanim 2 on the left and Aghanim 1 on the right. So Purdy, despite having Ganon available, still has to find one more sword, and not a lot of locations left. Tile Room could have had a sword. Master Sword. Oh, we know one sword upgrade is at Catfish. So it's really, where are those two other swords? What other locations can we go to? Misery Mire? Maybe Helmasaur King. I don't know if we actually looked at how many items were left in Palace of Darkness after Melestara went in. It looks like, oh, Purdy's gonna head over to Swamp Palace, which we know doesn't have anything. So this is Melestara's chance to catch up. Melestara showing off those sick bug net strats on Aghanim 1. Gonna get that medallion, that Quake medallion as well, and hopefully head up to Turtle Rock. Alright, we do have Pyramid Fairy available with that Turtle Rock clear. He's gonna head into Swamp Palace and most likely full clear that, so what an awful situation for Purdy to be in, but what an exciting race for us to watch. Now it's just a race to the finish for Melestara, as he does have that Master Sword. He's gonna have to, obviously he doesn't know what position prdwong is in, but he's gonna have to hope that Purdy takes as much time as possible getting over to Catfish, or possibly even the Fat Fairy, just wherever that other sword, those other two swords are gonna be, while he clears out Turtle Rock. Or, okay, I was about to say, flute up to 1 if you don't wanna start from there. Mire is not, we have not checked Mire yet. So the locations that we have not checked that could have a sword are Fat Fairy, Tile Room, all of Mire, Helmasaur King if there is an item still left in Palace of Darkness, and what else, really? I'm gonna pull up my own tracker to see, actually. Let's take a look. Yeah, I think those are the final locations. There's nothing else I can think of. Oh, and Sahasrahla could be giving you one off the green pendant. But 100% we'll see a Catfish check before that pod is completed. Oh, I don't know. You know, green pendant and pod can make it look a little bit more appealing to do, since you can turn it in right after. So this is a game I really don't know how it's going to turn out. It's going to be, we could see exactly how Purdy wants to route this. Yeah, Purdy is still in the lead as of right now, but the more time that goes on, the more time that Melestara has to catch up. Purdy has everything complete except Ganon himself. So all he needs is that Master Sword in order to actually finish the game. Pyramid is open, but he has to do quite a lot of backtracking in order to find out where one of these sword upgrades are. Meanwhile, Melestara does have that sword from Catfish, but definitely I say the odds are probably more in Purdy's favor, as there's 2 other locations that could have a sword. It doesn't mean that he necessarily has to get up to Catfish. But like I said, it's just going to be dependent on where those 2 other swords are. If both sword upgrades are in Misery Mire, that's going to be pretty bad news for Purdy, because there's a lot better locations to check before you get over there. Let's say there's a sword on Fat Fairy, or maybe even the Green Pyramid, Green Pendant turn-in. That could be a really close race. Melestara heading through that Chain Chomp room. Does get tagged. Get tagged again, unfortunately. Loses a little bit of health. Looks like Purdy maybe having a little bit of stream issues, as he was going through his Argus fight. So in the meantime, we're gonna head over to Melestar's side. So wow, this is what a interesting way to add even more intrigue to this race. We don't know whether or not Purdy is gonna find a sword. And if he does find one, we're not gonna know. So he can still be offline streaming right now, which is, if you are a runner in this race, you do need to be doing local recordings for situations like this. So if you haven't already started doing that, you definitely want to be doing that just in case. But unfortunately, we're just not going to know for sure whether or not who's going to win this. I'll go ahead and keep an eye on all the our chats and stuff to see if maybe he pops in to give us a little bit of information. But in the meantime, we're going to focus on Melestara making his way through Turok as quick as he can. And going to find his Ice Rod as well right here. And it looks like Purdy is back just in time for the Pyramid Fairy check, and only finding a shovel, which could be another item. So no sword on Argus, which we already knew about, but definitely not seeing a sword on the Pyramid Fairy is a little bit interesting. And here we go. He's going to be going up to Catfish before heading over to Palace of Darkness. So he is in a great spot right now. So yeah, it's like we said, the longer that Purdy would take to get up to Catfish, the better position Melestara is in. But it's like he's going to go ahead and knock that out before heading to Pod. Going to find his Master Sword as Melestara picks up his Ice Rod. And we're going to see that Ganon fight coming up very soon. There's that Master Sword throwing out the slashes as well. It's not a situation you want to be in. Probably gonna go ahead and float over to Witch's Hut first, and then enter his Ganon fight. So as of right now, definitely looking like Purdy's race to win. Has a Master Sword, has silver arrows. So assuming, you know, he's somewhat proficient in those first 3 phases at the Master Sword, this will be a pretty clean win for Purdy. And we still have 2 swords that nobody knows where they're at. Most likely Meyer has one, but we're not going to find that out as Purdy does head up the pyramid to the Ganon fight. Here we go. We're not meant to have midnight snacks. You know, why is there a fridge or a light in the fridge? Ganon asking the questions that keep us up at night. Purdy making good work so far of Master Sword Ganon, showing that, you know, he has practiced it a little bit. I know a lot of runners, if they're not familiar with it, will end up trying to actually just slash at him before realizing they have to spin, but Purdy went right into doing those spins, so we know that he's ready for this. Also, pulling out the cape, gonna make it a lot easier to deal with. You know, having those blue potions as well. You might as well go ahead and use those cape strats to get those slash spins in as much as you can with the half mech as well. And there we go. Phase 1 and 2 are complete. We're heading to phase 3 of the Ganon fight, which is the simplest one. Just gotta be able to follow Ganon a bit with the slashes, with those spins. I'm sorry, keep mixing those up. Melestara heading into his Trinex fight with the hammer. Gonna have to be a little bit careful. I don't know if he has a blue potion. I expect that he does. Meanwhile, Purdy one spin away from phase 4 Ganon. Nails it. Now we just need those 4 arrows. Does miss that first one. Don't need to worry about the torch glitch because you can go ahead and set up for easier arrow hits by having both torches out. It's our second silver arrow into Ganon. And gets a spin off. Unfortunately, we don't need to worry about that. We do have silver arrows. There is our 3rd hit. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe right now we do see that 4th hit on Ganon, meaning that prdwong with an official SRTV time of 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 48 seconds going to be our winner of this match between prdwong and Melestara. GG. Definitely a situation we very rarely see, completing Ganon's tower with that fighter sword and not actually finding any other sword upgrade. But fortunately, good routing, good execution does allow him to take that win and propel him into the 2-2 side of the Swiss bracket. What a great race, everyone. I believe we have him in Discord, so let's go ahead and pull him up. Talk to him a little bit about the season. Well, welcome, prdwong, and congrats on your win. Looks like he may be setting up his microphone still. I'll wait for him to do that, as Melestara does, I believe, enter to the rock again. Do we see that? Oh, ran out of magic, unfortunately. So that's a really rough situation to be in. Oh, welcome again. Do we have you with us? looks like we're still waiting on that. It's going to be pretty finicky with having the correct audio working. Melestara heading back to Turtle Rock a second time. Hopefully doesn't run out of magic again. It'd be a little bit rough. I imagine we'll probably see Melestara open up that backside of Turtle Rock, just in case he runs out of magic again, as there is a full magic refill before the Trinix fight.
You guys hear me?
Oh, we do. Well, welcome. Congrats on your win. How do you feel about having to look for a sword after Ganon's tower? I heard you for just a minute. Now I don't hear you.
Oh, it's terrible. And the worst part was right after I checked. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
So the worst part was that I went to. I think it was after I checked the Misery Mire area before I needed to go into any of the pendant dungeons. I was like, well, I could go off to Catfish and check Zor as well before going up to Turtle Rock and Ganon's Tower. But I said, it's just 2 items. I'll just, there's got to be a sword in Ganon's Tower. Gosh.
Well, you definitely made the right call to, kind of gamble on Ganon's Tower. I think that's a call literally everyone who has ever played Rando will make. So we literally have no idea where the other 2 swords are at. We're expecting that they're probably in Mire, or maybe even that green pendant turn-in. But I guess we won't find that out. Also wanted to kind of congratulate you on doing that Aghanim Tower dark room. It's not a room that we ever see generally done in the dark. That's something that you've practiced a lot and had to do before, or was this your first time doing it?
Because I can't hear you guys. I'm having to watch the restream to listen to you guys. But I practiced it that much, but I pulled up some maps and just tried to do it while looking at the maps at the same time. Entertaining, I know it's not something that people get to see that much.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, definitely having those randomizer resources open on the side, especially for the dark rooms, really does help out quite a lot. So you played a really excellent race. The routing up to, or the sequence break up to Tower of Hera, really kind of helped pay off with finding those early myths and then kind of also being able to route in a lot more stuff at the same time in the village of Outcasts. Was there a reason why you went up to Hera before doing, doing Thieves Town and Skullwoods, or was that just a play you like to make?
That's exactly what I was hoping. I was hoping I would find that the sequence break would pay off. And I was really happy to find the myths up there. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely paid off pretty well for you. Also, getting the knowledge that Quake was required to get into Turtle Rock, meaning that Aghanim had to be done at some point. So you played extremely well. You didn't have to worry about go into the Swamp Palace early on to get to.
Oh yeah, when I saw that, that was not.
So
A couple
with that,
mistakes when I was doing my routing though, like the Turtle Rock, thinking that I was only looking for the sword, and then when I was climbing up the mountain, I realized that I still needed Ice Rod. So that's why I was really happy when I found it in Mimic Cave.
so if you had realized that you didn't have the Ice Rod yet, would you have maybe dipped into a pendant dungeon, or would you have still gambled on it being found in Turtle Rock?
I think I still would have gone up to Turtle Rock. Because there's still a bunch of chests that are accessible there. Seeds where the Ice Rod is up in that area. I mean, just that skipping all the pendant dungeons, would be too much for me to ignore, I think. But I think the sword saved me, because if I had found the sword earlier, then I think I would have just go moded that entire area, and maybe I wouldn't have realized Ice Rod, and then that I might have messed everything up.
Oh, that would have been a rough situation to be in if you had skipped the Mimic Cave. I'm sure you probably would have headed right back down into there, but it's good that at least you were able to check that on the way up and grab it instead of having to backtrack. So with that win, that does put you in the 2-2 part of the Swiss bracket. At this point, do you need a few more wins to get into the bracket? Is that something you're going to be shooting for?
Oh, I have no expectations of making the bracket. I actually made my goal already. I was hoping to get 2 wins in the Swiss stage. Everything from here on out is just for fun, I think.
Well, that's definitely a great way to look at it. Definitely, if you're not having fun in this tournament, I think you're doing something wrong. But it's great that you did go ahead and accomplish that goal of getting the 2 wins. I know I was the same way in my first rando tournament. But, I mean, hey, we could see 3, 4, and possibly even 5 wins with the way that you played today. So I would not be surprised if we did see you in the bracket.
Would be surprised to see me in the bracket. I mean, for everyone who's watching, like, this is my first tournament, and if you guys like playing Randomizer, I would recommend you guys, just try it out.
100%. Randomizer is definitely peaking every day with just how many new people are joining, as well as just all the really exciting races going on. So if you haven't had a chance to try it out at this point, definitely, you got the weekend coming up. Go ahead and take a few hours, go through Seed, have some fun, and then, if you really like it, we do have another tournament coming up this fall, I believe, which anyone is welcome to join. Well, with that, you are welcome to stay with us while Melestara does finish the Seed. Definitely understand if you do need to leave, since it is still kind of an early Friday. But once again, congrats on that win. Definitely, if you enjoyed seeing the prdwong put on for us today, give him a follow on Twitch. Go ahead and throw that into the chat. But in the meantime, I'm excited to see what happens next week for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop off, but thanks for doing the commentary, and
Yeah, no problem at all. Well, I think once again, congrats on your win, and thanks for putting on this great race for us. All right, in the meantime, Melestara is going to be heading up to the Ganon's Tower Gauntlet, finding that key on the right side. Unfortunately, did not head right immediately, so did the entirety of left side, which could have been nice if there was a sword there. But unfortunately, no such luck, as we don't know where those other swords are. And I head through, also using those silver arrows, probably in the gauntlet as well, to kind of save a little bit of magic. Having a little bit of trouble with those mimics, but does manage to get through pretty quickly. Good idea there by Melestara to pick up, pull out that cape, rather than trying to, figure out the exact movement of those cannonballs. Let's go ahead and pull out the cape and dash through without any worries, and then get that full magic refill in that little hidden room with the fairies as well. But here we are. Melestara going to head into the gauntlet now. Opting to use Bombo strats actually to clear out the first room. So, could we see maybe the same strats used in every room? Oh, we're going to see the ether strats this time. So very smart to use Bombos on the first room and then on the third room, so that way, instead of freezing the Zazaks, which I just learned recently, that's what they're called, you're able to kill them in one go. And then using the ether on the second room with the skeleton, to Stalfos, which kills him and has a shorter animation time. Oh yeah, Melestara going to be heading into Landmoles 2, using that those silver arrows. Fortunately, it kind of goes for that long range on the first one to avoid the fireball from the Medusa. And doesn't quite hit it. Correct, so Ether freezes most enemies in the game. Stalfos being one of the enemies that don't get frozen, but rather die. So Melestara is showing off that game knowledge and making sure to switch between the two medallions and not fall, for that trap. Nice work with those Wizroad rooms, using those Canis Maria strats. Always my favorite part to see of any race. It's very easy to do those strats, but with how flashy they look, I'm always impressed. And also, this time actually having the lamp and not just the fire rod, able to get through this room. I'm gonna pick up this full upgrade right here and head into the final part of the Ganon's Tower ascent. probably gonna be checking these chests, trying to find that temper sword. Gonna get a half magic bolt, which will 100% help doing this Ganon fight. Especially if he opts to do the same cape strats as prdwong did. But at this point, we are guaranteed to be doing that Master Sword Ganon unless Melestara does decide to look around a bit for a Temper Sword. So we got the cape strats on Moldorm. It's nice for not being knocked off, but you have to be careful that you don't knock yourself off with the knockback from the sword hitting Moldorm himself. We're gonna get that final check. What will Melestara do when finding out it's just a blue rupee? He'll actually just walk away. I expected, you know, a few bombs, maybe even a bombos, possibly on that chest, but looks like he's just ready to finish the seed out as he enters his Aghanim 2 fight. Kind of a weird angle as far as where Aghanim was at. You should be get a pretty easy 2 or 3 right there. Yeah, it looks like you got 2. Another 2, so we just 1 away from finishing off Aghanim 2. I think the same exact amount of phases that prdwong did have as well. It has a setup position for it. And there it is right there. That 6th hit. Meaning Melestara will be going into his Ganon fight, not going to have to look for any swords whatsoever. And believe he does have potions as well, so we won't have to worry about magic either. And there you go, forgetting about that slash. Gonna have to do those spin strats, unfortunately. It's a little bit longer, but definitely a lot more reasonable to do that than having to look for a sword. Probably gonna hold off into doing keep strats until phase 2. This phase is very simple with just the Master Sword. It's just a matter of dodging that trident. But phase 2 with the fire bats does make it a little bit more difficult. So here we go. He's gonna go ahead and stay to the side. Ganon not really giving us any good positions to get those spins off. We want to see him in the corner. We want to see him, you know, 1 tile away from the bottom so we can get multiple spins off at once. But he's just not having it. And then it goes immediately into one of the worst spots for Master Sword Ganon into phase 2, sitting in that corner right there. I believe we are 3 spins now into phase 2. We do need 12 in order to... And then Ganon going straight back into that awful corner. Ganon is not wanting to give this win over to Melestara without a fight. Should have a blue potion here. Oh, it does have a red potion. It would actually be easier. Not have to worry about using that magic just yet. And pulls out the hook shot to use that invincibility. Ganon, please, will you stop? Ganon is just not giving any good patterns at all for a Master Sword fight. I haven't seen him once go into the top left or right corners, which you can generally use to spam slashes. Or spam the spins. Instead, he goes right back into the bottom right. Wow. I've never seen a Ganon this unfriendly for a Master Sword fight. There we go. Okay, and right as we go into phase 3, he decides to go into that corner. Melestara has to be a little bit careful. Very low on HP. I believe a Ganon touch will go ahead and kill him. Maybe not the fire bat itself, but still, want to be safe. Manages to dodge that fire bat. Wow, that was actually a really cool dodge. Ganon deciding just to teleport all over the place. But that does conclude phase 3, and now we're on to phase 4 of this fight. We're gonna go ahead and opt to do those torch strats. I'm not gonna take that risk with running out of magic. Melestara is scaring me a bit with these fire bats, but does manage to get one silver arrow in. Only 3 more to go. Kind of a weird position with that fire bat, not able to get that 3rd arrow hit in. And this may be it, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, and that does conclude the race. Melestara landing that 4th silver arrow onto Ganon and finishing this race off with an official speedrunning TV time of 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 25 seconds. GG. We'll see if we get Melestara in here for an interview. Give him a couple minutes to show up. But what an incredible race between both our runners. A lot of things we don't generally see in Seed. We saw the dual Aghanim fight between Aghanim 1 and Aghanim 2. We saw the Ganon's Tower not giving any items, and PRD having to look for a sword elsewhere. And then also the Dark Room Aghanim 1, which is my first time I actually have ever seen that in a race itself. So very exciting race between both our runners. Very glad to be able to have commentated this. Let me go ahead and see if we'll get Melestara in here. Okay, it looks like we do have him in Discord, so let's go ahead and bring him up. Well, welcome, Melestara, and congrats on finishing. What an interesting seed.
My movie was kind of a train wreck in the end, but hey, only I could do Aghanim blind. Would have been completely different. God damn it.
You definitely would have been in a very small percentage of people that could do Aghanim 1 blind. I have not actually ever seen that done before, which is what Purdy did end up doing. He ended up skipping Swamp, at least before Aghanim, and did that with Alk Lamp. But it was a really exciting race between the two of you. There was really no kind of clear indication who was going to win, because you found the Master Sword on Catfish, which Purdy did not find until actually after he finished Ganon's Tower. So he climbed, he full cleared Ganon's Tower, and it was really down to, you know, how quickly were you going to be able to get to the end versus him, you know, finding the sword.
Well, man, I did a lot of overworld spots I shouldn't have really checked. Routing was kind of meh, but, well, it is what it is.
I'll have to give it to you. You had really good routing, though. You know, finding the mirror early on and kind of doing everything within sequence. I think, with the exception of having to find Lamp in Swamp Palace, really did pay off for you. You got to do Hookshot Cave with Hookshot on your first go up there, and also with the Master Sword, didn't have to look around for that. So it just really, I think, came down to that Lamp being found in Swamp, and then other than that, it was still pretty close. For most of the race, it was really close.
I was just scared that Frost Road was a Mimic Cave. And just not in Pod or Misery or wherever.
Well, you made the right call with that, and that's, I think, a call everyone will make is finding the Ice Rod, either in Mimic Cave or even on Laser Bridge too. So both of you runners did decide to make that call, and it paid off.
I mean, especially if you're feeling behind, you just have to go for it. And pray to RNGesus. But yeah,
it is random.
I just thought it was a fun race.
Yeah, it was a very exciting race. Would recommend go back and watch it because there's a lot of tense moments between the two of you. Was there one moment in particular that kind of stood out to you in the seed that you're happy about, or anything else?
I mean, happy about? Not really. I mean, what really bit me in the arse where I just started sweating was when I realized I need Lamp. And I have no clue where it is.
It's not an item you ever really expect to be kind of your, not really go mode, but one of those few items needed for go mode. So you're definitely not alone. I know after this, I'm probably gonna try to do that dark room Aghanim, because you generally don't think about something like that until you actually see it in a race.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, it was a really exciting race. Especially for this side of the Swiss bracket too. I'm glad that I was able to commentate this between the two of you.
Thanks for
commentating. He already
commentating.
had to leave, so he's not going to be here. But congrats on getting being able to finish that seed. We got to see those bug net strats from Aghanim. It's always good to see those.
Just a little bit extra for viewers.
Yeah, it's all about that stream value. And if you're not having fun, then why aren't you? Why are you playing?
Exactly.
Well, with that, we'll go ahead and conclude this race. Hopefully, see you again next week. Get some more wins.
Finish it, definitely. Just too
Good.
much fun.
It's always good to hear that. Thanks to Melee Wizard for doing the trucking for this race. Me and him just kind of taking on this race, just the two of us. I'm JTB. I was your host for this race. Hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks to Fiesel, of course, for doing all the restreaming. Plenty of rando going on today so far. I do believe we have another race starting in about 10 minutes over on A Link to the Past Randomizer between Akash and Looney Cloud 87. So if you're looking for more rando, you go check that out. There's other races going on our other speed gaming channels. Hope to see you there. And with that, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you have